Hello YouTubers, this is the Noobifier. Today I was live on the Astropub, which is a weekly show with a revolving panel of Star Citizen fans. I'm posting it up here in case you missed it. Obviously the show's not live right now, but I have the link in the description and I'd ask you to follow Paul and tune in weekly to check it out.
Will it work? There it goes. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Captain's Table. My name is Paul, Berserker 01, Batman Shelley. This is my pub, the Astro Pub, and this is the Captain's Table, where I bring people from all over the universe to talk about Star Citizen 60% of the time. Though with Noobifier here, it's probably more like 85% of the time. Because he'll just tell us to stop and move on. We've talked about this, move on. So with that being said, let's go introduce everybody. I'm going to go introduce everybody in a clockwise fashion. So we'll start with Noobifier and with Toy. And then I'll ask every member of the panel 3 questions where they like, dislike, and surprised about this week. That I'll start with Toy and then move back to Noobifier over that direction. So, but anyone can hop into the discussions and figure out what's going on, all that kind of stuff. So starting off with Noobifier. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
Hello everyone, I'm the Noobifier. I am a Star Citizen YouTube content creator. And thanks once again, Paul, for having me on. This is always fun.
It's good to have you on. I'd always surprised to meet you come on because you're so interested to come on. Because
Hello,
it's always
citizens. My handle's been the new. I'm
Sorry.
like understand all
Immediate,
aspects
right?
of the
Like
game.
right in there, and like today was good. That's why I let you know, and I'm really happy that there was some free spots. So I try to make no bullshit content for Star Citizen. I try to stay away from, I don't know, patch notes are important and all that stuff is important. But if someone else is already covering them well, then I don't feel that it's necessary to beat that one to death. So I'll pick something else. For example, I just did a stupid video on two-factor authentication, something that's been out for like almost 2 years now, just because one of the org mates was having difficulty with it.
Hello,
we couldn't figure it
citizens.
out. So anyways, figured out there wasn't anything there, so we put that out. Just finished some Verpal stuff. I have a little bit of a thing going with Verpal, so if you guys are interested in really interesting controllers for Star Citizen, that's a good one. Monster Tech also is coming down with some new stuff. A chair mount is going to get looked into. HCS just released Katrina, which is Marina Sirtis, which is Troy from Star Trek, so they have a new voice pack.
Nice.
There's a bunch of other stuff. I'm trying to get down to Montreal sometime next week to visit with Turbulent. So lots of good stuff coming in. And thanks for your support for whomever decides to watch my content.
That's awesome to always have you here. You guys really should. The real answer is there's probably more people who watch Noobifier than watch here. But if there happens the chance that someone is watching the Captain's Table and be like, I don't know who the Noobifier is, you really need to watch him. He does a lot of awesome content. He's working with HCS voice packs for voice attack combinations. He does lots of things. Like he does the quintessential series on control panels and like how to control the games versus like two joysticks versus individual joysticks and all these other things. So you should definitely be checking them out. Exclamation point follow, pod follow in the chat down below. Next, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the moist of the noodles, the moistest of humans.
I am so incredibly moist today. Like
he is.
It's so hot here at the moment. I'm literally dripping with sweat. It's disgusting. Hello, it's me, Moist Noodle. How do I follow up from Noobifier? Like, I'm not turbulent.
I'm not moist.
Well,
That's true.
You can be.
I could be. If I was in your apartment.
Wow. So yeah, hello, it's me, Moist Noodle. I stream on Twitch Monday to Friday from 5:30 BST, British Standard Time. I normally drink beer. It was International Beer Day yesterday, by the way, everyone. So happy International Beer Day. I was quite smashed, and I've got a whole load of beer bottles I need to clean up. But yeah, pretty much the same all next week, Monday to Friday. Star Citizen, talking about all the UEC drama, etc., etc. That'll be fun.
Awesome. And you actually work in tech for a living, right? You work on retro tech?
I by trade I'm a server engineer, but right now I'm working for a recycling charity, and I strip down. I work with volunteers with learning difficulties and physical disabilities, and I strip down servers and computers and rebuild and sell. It's it's interesting.
Nice,
cool.
Next we have the man you do not want to meet in a closed corridor, whom you should always assume. If you see his name in the PU, just assume he has a grenade. You just step away from the man with the grenade.
Been accused of that.
Yeah, Dr. Drones himself. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
Besides exploding, I'm a Twitch streamer. I play Star Citizen as my primary game. I do play other sci-fi space, sci-fi future games, so I do mix it up. It's not always Star Citizen, but that is my primary go-to. I always come back to it. I always love it. But yeah, I apparently have used grenades once or twice in the PU and in Star Marine. That's what they tell me. I don't know. Might not be true.
Just a few times. Just a few times.
Where
can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Dr. Drones. That's the best place to look.
Awesome. And last but not least, the best mod in Star Citizen, the man who he spent all of 2016 like CitizenCon before the 2016 CitizenCon. Me and Toy hung out in the line, like we were like right next to each other, and dealt with that heat. My God, that heat, man.
It was warm.
It was warm, and it was LA, so there was no way of cooling off. There was no trees or anything. It was just direct heat in that sunlight. But Toy Grevin, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
Hi. So I am a avid Star Citizen follower, player, and part-time streamer. Well, it's getting almost full-time now streaming. So, but yeah, play other games too, but mostly Star Citizen. And of course, now that grenades are working, Dr. Drones and me got some dates in Star Marine.
He thinks he's going to out-grenade me, but we'll see. We'll see.
The man who invented the grenade techniques. Oh man, what's the student?
I am a little rusty. I'm not going to lie. I'll put it out there. I haven't been, especially with the recent bug where grenades just kind of dropped at your feet. So it was a little out of practice, but
It's a feature.
we'll get there. Yeah.
Not a bug, it's a feature.
Little landmines.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, with that, let's get down to the questions. So, starting with Toy, because we started with Noobifier. So, Toy, I have 3 questions for you. What did you like? What did you dislike? And what surprised you about this week in Star Citizen?
What I like? Well, I like. Do I sound all right?
Yeah, you sound good.
All right.
Turn you down a little bit, but you're good. Yeah.
What I like is, especially when Chris Roberts gets on, is he has a way of explaining his vision of the game that brings it down to earth for everybody. He's explaining how, we sit here all the time as content creators and theory craft. Mm-hmm. And he kind of basically shatters our world with that when he comes on and gives his vision, even though it's similar. He always throws a wrench in it. So it's a good and bad. There really wasn't anything bad that I heard from him because, like I said, he has a way of saying it so it all makes sense. It's just, it's a hurry up and wait thing. So we're wait. And that's what I hate about it. But I want him to do it and do it right. So I'm willing for them to take their time. As far as any surprises, I haven't heard of any surprises for a long time. I mean, we all knew that the rest of this year was basically about getting all the network stuff done. The object container streaming, network buying, calling. So no real surprise on stuff getting pushed back because that's priority 1. So that's my take.
Awesome. All right. So, Dr. Drones, same questions. What'd you like? What'd you dislike? And what surprised you about this week?
Well, I think the thing that I really liked was seeing the changes that they're doing to the animations for like vaulting and mantling. That really impressed me. It's always been you start to mantle something and then you get to the top of it and then you stop and you're frozen for like a half second. I've despised that for so long because that gets me killed quite a lot. So seeing how smooth that was on the shows this week was really an impressive thing. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. That's starting to look right. And that's something that I think for FPS to be viable is huge. Being able to maneuver around obstacles without being frozen in place for a second is a big deal. I think it's an undervalued big deal. That said, I don't think there was anything that I really disliked. It was all pretty straightforward. And I think the big surprise would be everybody immediately knowing that it was Jared in the shark suit as he walked through the studio.
Jared is that kind of guy. Disco Lando,
Yep.
just you expect that kind of thing. I still have stories of when he kidnapped Eris in 2016 CitizenCon. He just picked him up and walked away. Just on his shoulder, just walked away. Eris was just like, I guess this is me now.
Yep.
No, there's no warning. We just walked up to Eris, picked him up, carried him on my shoulder, walked away. That's how Jared rolls. There's nothing to surprise you this week?
No, well, that was the
Citizen.
surprise. There was nothing.
That was a surprise. Nothing you
I think we've all
disliked?
been around long enough that nothing surprises us, right?
We're all jaded, experienced, veterans of this up to this point.
So true.
Moist.
So my like and dislike, I'm just going to blast through them quickly because they're not overly exciting. Like was generally RTV. I think I tried to be critical of Star Citizen because I don't want to be seen as a white knight, but whenever I see Chris talk about Star Citizen, I always kind of get quite excited. But one of two things normally happens when Chris talks. Either people get super excited about what he's talking about, or it causes a whole load of drama. I think quite a few people are being a little bit dramatic about what he was saying on RTV about ship movement. And I know that there's a couple of people that are really into dogfighting who I know are probably going to be a little bit salty when I talk to them next. But there we go. The dislike was a whole drama around UEC. I kind of feel like it was completely needless, especially since we all spend so much money on internet spaceships anyway. But there we go. But the surprise, which I've not heard many people really talk about that much, was seeing Van Doel on ATV this week. I thought that was freaking awesome with their pointy shooty sticks. Forever have I always wanted a pointy shooty stick. So
It sounded cool too.
the sound
Not only
effects
did
are
it-
really, really cool.
Yeah.
The sound effects team seem to be doing a really good job, and I'm glad that they're adding a little bit more alien style weapons. I'd like to see how crazy some of like the Xi'an and the Banu stuff are.
One of the things that I really liked, actually talking about the sound effects, was the examples they were showing of like lockers being dropped downstairs and stuff like that. That sounded
Thanks
amazing.
Thanks for taking my surprise.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't that. It was my like though.
It's okay to have to like and a surprise. The same thing. Was there anything else that was liked, disliked? What was the dislike? No dislike?
The UEC drama is just like.
We'll talk about that a little bit in depth. I've never been a fan of selling UEC, but I think the community also, and the gaming community in general, they don't understand how Star Citizen works. I don't like CIG's response of saying things like, well, how do you win in Star Citizen? That's because it's a little weird hearing it from them. They should have an idea of what winning conditions should be in Star Citizen. But
I think, Paul, if it's all right I actually think that they're just so numb from hearing it all the time that they give the 50% answer on it. I don't think that, like in talking with some of the devs, they correctly, and I think that that's correct, that there are many people out there that are very, very loud, and then there are thousands of people that are just along for the ride, and I'm not saying that they're like drones and they're just like going on like whatever, but sorry, that wasn't meant to be. That was very convenient, right? No, it wasn't meant to be.
Wait, what did I do?
Okay.
They're not like
Puppets
mindless
or whatever,
drones.
just like following along, right? Like sheep
we
just
go.
following along. We're all intelligent. We know what's coming. And even with all the LTI drama and all these different dramas, there's obviously always a ton of media crazy, and it looks like millions of people are having an uproar. But the reality is, I think that most of us are, whatever.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this whole CCU cap thing and the whole pay to win and the whole what is a win, I agree with you. They should come up with like a textbook default answer, right?
Yeah.
Or Chris Roberts explains not that he didn't do a good job properly, but like a really good answer. Make a video of it, throw it up on rsi.com. And I'm not saying that we need like our little bit of drugs to soothe us down, but something to calm people down. And like you said, anytime he speaks on RTV, it's very good. It's very good for the community. It has a very calming effect. It's just nice to hear it from him. And anybody at CIG can say something, but when it comes from him, it's that know that it's coming from the guy who ultimately decides, because it doesn't matter what any of the other developers choose to do. If it doesn't work for Chris, it's not happening. So that's quite fine.
Well,
we just got to be real careful. Let me jump in real quick because the forum trolls are so loud, and that's all CIG sees. All us people that are normal and just understand that development is development.
Just call us normal.
How dare you? I am crazy. Apparently, CIG chill. I deserve my title. I worked hard for that.
Is all the forum ragers is what killed Star Wars Galaxies, because that's what the developers listened to, was all the people screaming and hollering and crying at Star Wars Galaxies, instead of following their plan. They just changed about face because of everybody screaming, hollering in forums. And CIG needs to not just listen to people screaming and hollering just because they're screaming and hollering. So, and I don't think they're going to do that with Chris Roberts at the helm.
No, and I was just going to say that I think it's fine. I think that they have a clear idea what they want to do. I think they have obviously from the start. It's changed a little bit as more things were added to the game and stuff like that. But Level Cap did a really good idea, or a really good video, I think last week, where he basically said, is Star Citizen a scam, right? And he's basically said it can't be a scam, or else they wouldn't be making the ridiculous progress and, front end kind of stuff that we're starting to see. So, I mean, we've always seen progress, but it seems to be coming together now.
Well, I've said this a million times. With 500 employees and offices around the world, if CIG was doing something shady, somebody would come out and say something. You know what I mean?
This is where we find out.
Nobody is.
This is where we find out next week that those 500 employees have actually been working on like a myriad of different shitty mobile games that are all going to be raking in the cash.
Churning the monies.
Yeah.
Oh. What I was going to say is the biggest misconception that gamers have is CIG is, because you brought out Star Wars Galaxies, is that CIG is doing something that really doesn't exist outside of Asian MMOs, and even Asian MMOs don't quite nail it right because they're more about grind than they are about content, which is an MMO sandbox. People know what a sandbox is. I mean, Ubisoft is basically the sandbox creator of the universe. They do all of their games are sandbox open world games now. But most, if not all, sandbox games in the last 20 years have been single player. So they associate sandbox with single player rather than sandbox with multiplayer. And if you look at Star Wars Galaxies, there were entire towns that were formed in Star Wars Galaxies by the rebels or by the Empire that would have individual, they'd have cantinas and homes and shops, and completely built by the community, had nothing to do with the developers because they had the tools to do so. And that is more what Star Citizen is going for. So when people see a game, the first thing that I almost always get when new players come in and see the game say, what's the point? What's my goal in Star Citizen? And I think that's the disconnect. Is like when you say it's a sandbox, yeah. They go, they know what a sandbox is, but they don't quite understand how you could do a sandbox in a multiplayer environment. And because so many games are simple goal-driven games, PUBG, be the last one alive. Fortnite, Battle Royale. In a game like The Division, kill everything, get loot, keep moving. Same with Destiny. You know, so there are always a goal in mind. Even though sandbox games have an overarching goal in mind, like Far Cry 5, kill these cultists and free the county. So Star Citizen not having a coherent, singular story that goes along, there's no kind of overarching goal. When CIG says something like, how do you win in Star Citizen? What they're trying to say is, it's a sandbox. You do what you want. We're not going to sit here and tell you to go off and collect 24 boar skins and come back. If you want to for this one quest giver, you can, but that's not going to be for everyone.
I want to collect 24 foreskins. Wait, what?
Boar skins.
Boar skins.
Foreskins. Wow, you sick.
Hang on.
His mind went straight to the gutter.
Can I do my like, dislike, and thingy?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, that's the one little tirade I wanted to talk about was I think that's the one thing that people miss out in these conversations is that the Star Citizen is a sandbox game, and so when everyone's like pay to win, and people are like, well, what's the win conditions, man? It feels really like white knighty, but what they're trying to say is it's a sandbox.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What's winning for you is not winning for me, and if what's winning for you is someone else being ahead of you, then
so
maybe you don't want to play
pay
this
for
game.
advantage rather than pay to win.
Yeah,
but then even advantage is up in the air, and that's the thing that, like, so there's certain things that I'm never going to make a video about, and I think that's one of them because it's just going to flop no matter what. I'm just going to piss all these people off and piss all those people off, and everyone will unsubscribe. You know, so it's kind of like it's just not worth it. But yeah, it is definitely something that I think if anyone talks about it, I mean, like there are people that are talking about, Montoya's talking about it, all kinds of people are making videos about it. But they're not qualified to talk about it because yes, they're gamers and everything, but they're not development. They're not the game. And I think that type of thing should come from, it'd be nice if it came from the game proper. That's all. So,
yeah.
You know, and what people don't understand is everybody thinks this game is just going to be full of players competing against players. It's a 10-to-1 ratio. So if you have, if they can ever get up to 100,000 people on, we're going to have, what, close to 1 million NPCs running around?
Mm-hmm.
Or more.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's as bad as No Man's Sky that you'll never run into another player, but you're not going to be bumping into people all the time.
You got to think of it something like Sea of Thieves, but with a lot more NPCs. Because in a game like Sea of Thieves or like the future, like Fallout 76, which is coming out, the ratio, they have a huge map and like 30 to 40 players per map. But the map is so big that you may run into one or two people, and the idea is to have enough tension where you know it's another person. And with Star Citizen, you don't know if it's a person or not. Like, I can't wait till they actually get the names of these pirates, not to be like Bring Y'all McPerson Man.
Huge erection.
Exactly. Yeah. Why don't we have those guys? Because they'd be like, oh, that's a player. Like, that's one of the things that Elite kind of missed was that they always had CMDR in front of the name, but if they didn't, you might actually have some more interesting interactions. Or you sit there and like, wow, I'm talking to an NPC. I've been sitting here for 15 minutes trying to wing up with a dude, and it turns out to be an NPC. That moment would be pretty cool.
And he can fly better than all of us.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's very unlikely.
I think one of the things that really helps actually with the names in Elite Dangerous is a lot of the NPC names are from backers, aren't they? They were like the original Kickstarter backers.
And technically, there are going to be backers have made names for Star Citizen. It was one of the rewards for being an Imperator for like the first 2 years as a subscriber. You get the name Pirates or NPCs. Oh, cool.
They should just grab a phone book and just add that to the game.
Just go to the Xbox Live or Sony or whatever like Steam list and just pull names out and just randomize it.
I think it would be better.
Names and randomize it.
I think it would be better if they got in contact with Blizzard and every single person they banned off of Blizzard, they should use those names.
But you know, something that's more like that's definitely a player, and you get closer and they're like, well, he's flying like an NPC. Maybe this is an NPC, you know.
Maybe he's just a bad player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a really good player.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do
Yeah.
this.
Yes, go for
Like,
it. Sorry, Noobifier. Sorry for
RTV.
taking over it.
No, it's cool. I sidetracked myself. It's good. So RTV. I always like RTV. I especially liked this week because obviously Chris was on there, and like I said before, it's always nice to get the information right from Chris. He's it's nice when he answers the questions himself. I really miss 10 for the chair. He specifically said that it's not in his timeline right now because he's too busy. He's traveling. That's totally understandable. So in lieu of that, this is a good option. He basically said what we kind of figured out, which is there's no direct correlation between the UEC and the value, like the current. We know it's like 1,000 to 1 or whatever, but we don't really have a perspective of what that means in game. You can figure out, like, let's say a missile costs 1,000 UEC. You're like, wow, that's $1, but it's not going to be like that because that isn't defined yet. And Super Mac Brothers did a very cool video where he went and calculated the cost of all the components of a starter ship. I think it was an Aurora, and it came out to be something like 10 times what it should be. And everyone keeps defaulting back to that one thing that Chris said, like, if you play for 60 hours, you'll get yourself a Connie, right? But that was 2013. And that's before planets, before everything, really. So I think it's a little reckless to rely on that. And 60 hours is still, I think that was 60 dedicated hours doing nothing but trying your best to make money. A Connie's a good ship, but it's no Javelin, that's for sure. So this is the thing. Like, he basically almost started to laugh when he started to talk about how much a Javelin might cost, right? Which again made me really happy because I want the grind to be there. I don't want anyone to play for 100 hours and be flying around in a Javelin. That's stupid. And I don't think that anyone ever thought that was going to be the case. So with that, if someone spends $1,000 on UEC, they got 1 million UEC or whatever. I think that was the exact number that he chose. He's like, well, that might be able to get you a whatever. He goes, but it's still not an advantage. Getting back to what you were saying, Paul, which is what's the end state? What's the goal? And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's if some other guy starts the game with 1 million UEC and I start with 100,000 or 50,000, I don't actually think that it's going to matter so much. And you guys can be, whatever, you can be salty about it in chat. It's my opinion. Again, I would never make a video about this, but I'm more than happy to talk about it.
Talk about it on my video.
But I mean, let's say some guy goes and buys 100 million UEC, right? With and he's got no money. He's eating fucking, I don't know, spam or something, and he's actually not by choice, and he's got this armada of ship and all the money to do something with it. He still needs the skill to use it. He still needs the people to fly it, right? So this is the thing. Like, this is why I don't think it matters so much. And all games do it. All MMOs do it anyways, to some extent, where you can go buy Plex or whatever, and then you have a head start. Ultimately, I need the game to be funded. I can't pay for it all by myself. So if someone wants to give Chris Roberts $100,000 for 1 billion UEC, knock yourself out, please. I
just what I'd like to see is some value in these ships. And I think because even Ben said that you'll be out of your starter ship in 8 or 9 hours of playing the game. But I don't want everybody jumping out of their starter ships immediately. You know what I mean? You should have your starter ship a while.
An Aurora is a deadly weapon if it's updated.
I spent 2 days this week streaming just flying an Aurora LN. It's hilarious and fantastic. I didn't realize how good that ship was.
Yeah, but the problem is it's all balance issues, and that's going to change throughout the development. Even after the game's out, they're going to be rebalancing stuff. WoW still balances stuff all the time. They've been out 20 years. So balance never ends. But what I want, like I said, don't want to see is just you throwing away your starter ships after playing a few hours.
I don't think you will, though, because one of the biggest advantages of starter ship is that even today, like when 3.0 had piracy, and I was being a dirty pirate, What I would do is I would go towards larger ships because I knew that it was a bigger payout if I took down a Caterpillar or a Starfarer versus an Aurora. So if an Aurora was flying in, I'd just be like, F it, man, it's just an Aurora. It's not worth the money. The hassle, because the Auroras sometimes were tricky and we'd blow up a ship. It would be super easy. It's like, what's the point? There's no challenge and you don't get any money out of it. Now, some people would be like, well, griefers would do that. It's like, yeah, but in the long run, as the game gets out, the reason why we have people who are doing stupid things like pad ramming is because they're bored. And in theory, at least, when there's more content, there'll be less people who are just bored. So people won't necessarily just be attacking Auroras, and a lot of those people will be out in the dangerous waters to try to go fight harder people to get more money or more reputation.
It'll get boring fast, I guess, is what you're trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is that being a griefer will get boring fast. So as a result, having an Aurora would be valuable for valuable, small, valuable missions. Like, hey, you want to run some really valuable cargo in small quantities? Run an Aurora, no one will bother with you because you're an Aurora.
I was going to say Titan. I don't think anyone should actually still own an Aurora. I know that sounds like really negative towards, the
obviously
starter ship.
Noobifier's never met a test member.
Okay, this is the thing. The RSI bars, the way the cockpit is built, there's so many compromises, in my opinion, with that ship that you go to a Titan that has cargo, bed, all the same stuff, but a size 4 and 2 size 3s.
Yeah.
And it's about, what, $10 difference?
Yeah, difference.
So that's one starter ship. Like, when you say starter ship, that's what my brain thinks about. I don't think about like the Reliant or anything else like that. To me, it's just Avenger Titan. And if anyone ever asks, it's like, what are you doing with that ship? Go get a CCU, right? Yeah. So it's kind of, but I think, like you say, Paul, I'll always have a Titan just because, and I'll probably always have a Cutlass because of that same reason. If no one else is online, I know that I can get in and out with that one ship and do a couple missions and have some fun.
I've been doing a lot of like run missions, just simple pick up a package, put it in, go to another place, drop the package off. Titan is a perfect ship for that. Absolutely perfect. It's big enough that you can put the the packages in, small enough that you don't have to worry about it. So that was.
You have a Cutlass Black for just that reason.
Yeah,
that'll be my starter ship. Is my Cutlass Black.
So I think we covered your likes mostly.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your dislikes and your surprise?
So dislike is obviously the in between patch blahs, right? The one where everyone goes stir crazy trying to figure out what to do next.
Now. We all hate CIG now.
It's not that.
We're at that stage. But that's what I mean. It's like
happy.
But that's the thing. It's like we're at that stage where everyone hates CIG, and then in a couple of weeks when they start working on the PTU and it goes out to Evocati, then everyone fucking
everyone's happy again.
And then everyone's happy again. Yeah. And I would put more emphasis on this cycle if they didn't actually nothing came from it. Like these people who get angry just get angry because they're bored, not because of anything really.
Whatever. So it's not the 3.0 blahs. That was a year of blahs, right? Between 2.6.3 and 3.0. That was deliberate. This one, at least you know that it'll end and there's a lead up and some content in between. So that's good. Dislike. I'm going to sound pessimistic. I really dislike Around the Verse. I actually thought that Around the Verse was exactly the way it should have been. It was good. I understand it took time to make and everything, but there's millions of dollars, I guess, of subscriber money that's designed to pay for that. And I'm not trying to sound like a dick, but I don't think the value is there anymore. Chris did say that he's interested in holding back some stuff to show at CitizenCon. That's fine. But there has to be something else that you can flesh out that show with. And anyways, same thing. RTV. When it's Jeremiah or some other person just playing the game, I don't think that there's as much value as the RTV, where whatever was discussed in ATV is opened up to basically a public forum where you can ask your question on RTV and get it answered immediately. So there's a lot of quality information, a passage of information. I would say like 50% of everything that we learn about the game week to week used to come from ATV and RTV. Calling all devs, awesome, really cool. Even though it's temporally back a week, you know, like the question's taken and then he records it and then he shows it like later, it's not live, that's fine. It's still our questions being answered. And we get an opportunity to upvote. So it's that visceral, very, very dynamic communication that we need as an open-end game like this. So that was my dislike. Sorry if you guys are trying ATV. I used to never no bullshit ATV because I think it was just fine. It was very good just the way it was. Everyone should just go watch it. There's no reason to condense it. And before I go into surprise, does anyone have a comment about that?
I completely agree with you. I really don't feel like I'm getting value for money right now. However, they did mention that they are hiring for video content at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm just, before I cancel my subscription, I'm just going to hold off a little bit longer and just see what happens.
One of the things
I agree.
I would hope for would that ATV goes in cycles. You have a 10-minute, I don't give a crap. Just like, hey, boom, here's the month. And then the next week you go a little bit more in depth into those things, and then a little bit, and then towards the end of the month you have like in a Squadron 42, and then you have like a super in-depth, like 40-minute long on one aspect of the game. That way you you basically got all the information out in a 10-minute like dopamine reel right off the bat, and then you have more in depth for people who care about it. A little bit more in depth for those casual backers who are following the game regularly but aren't like super invested in it. And then you have those 40-minute people for the people who are just like taking notes about all of these things. This is what this means. This is what this means. Let's connect the dots and conspiracy theory on my wall, thing.
But it doesn't have to be crazy. It's just like, I guess, a happy medium between what we had. So putting Bug Smashers in ATV isn't necessary. And you can have that same 20-minute, like if you took all that stuff out of it, ATV would still be that 15-minute kind of thing. But this watching community content for 4 minutes and then media bang, 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 and then thanks for watching. That doesn't, I can get away with that because no one pays me to do it, right? I guess people expect it on my channel, but as the company itself, that model is dangerous because people that are paying $10, and again, it's not about sense of entitlement. It's just that it's value, right? I subscribe. I like, because I get a lot out of being able to watch those shows, and if they go away, we're all screwed, literally, because that's
we don't
the
have
end
any
of it.
information. Yeah,
We have nothing to talk about, right?
Yeah, I hate these 10-minute ones.
Right, it's just like if you were to sit and take notes while it's going on, yes, they show you the Vandal, yes, they show you this, but if you were to take down notes and say this is different from last week or this is new information, it's very difficult. And again, I'm not trying to sound salty. Make ATV great again, make RTV great again. Those shows were good. I think what they want to do is they want to do something for early back or for like new backers, which is fine. They want to have a show that's the Noobifier of their own show, because they want to control the narrative of their show, which is exactly what comes out. No offense to you, Noobifier, because but get all that done. If you want to do that, make the first 5 minutes of the show what you're talking about, and then expand. Because those people that don't care, they're going to go, boop, thank you very much, that's all I need. And then it's like what we mentioned on minute 2, we're going to expand now. And just it doesn't have to be every single thing they talked about.
Yeah, they could easily do that in what I was saying before. Like you do that 1 week, first week of the month, you do that, you cover all of the topics, kind of like an introduction paragraph from an essay. You cover all the topics you're going to talk about for the rest of this month. And then every week you have a more in-depth dive on those things. So you still have the lengthy things that people can like break apart and understand. People like yourself, but even the community can get a better idea of what's going on. And you still have that one where if someone's like, what's going on this week? You just be like, here's the AT from beginning of the month. There you go. Watch it. You'll be happy. And then the people who are happy, who want the more in-depth ones, will be happy with that. And some people will be like, man, I don't really care. But, at the end of the day, you make the people who are just give me the highlights happy, and the people who want the more in-depth happy. And it also reduces the work, because you have all of your idea condensed at the very beginning of the month, and you get by the end of the month, and then anything that's been done during that month, you just put that out in the next month. And it just continues to repeat that.
It's easy to see how many people are watching this stuff too, because you just go look at the metrics, right? If a video like Bug Smashers pumps out and it gets like 7,000 or 8,000 views, then that's good. Bug Smashers is good. But if you get like a Around the Verse and that video gets 40,000 views, there's 2 million accounts. That's a gigantic difference, and it's understandable. Some people bought the account and they're just like, wake me up when it's over, right? Like they just don't care what's going on. And then there's about 40,000 people that have that vested interest, that they care enough to look every week. And then every once in a while there'll be a video like a CitizenCon or whatever that'll get 200, 300,000. That's curiosity. That's people that aren't citizens saying, what's all the fuss about? So the reality is, we are a large community as far as the game is concerned, but as far as the content and those citizens that actually watch on a weekly basis, teeny, right? Like very, very small. And we're all waiting for that bubble to go up. We're waiting for this game to go, and the vacuum's gonna pull everyone up, and everyone will have 1 billion subscribers, and we'll all be, I don't know, driving around in gold Lamborghinis.
But, even if what Chris said was true, that of course during all 2017 they were redoing the entire 3.0, so they had tons of content to show then. Even if they don't have a lot of meat and potatoes to show us, they had to have been working on their tools. I love learning about the Soul Editor and all these little tools that they're making. Show us the upgrades they made on them. Those RTVs where they came on and did the basketball court on the address, do more stuff like that. Bring the programmer on and actually do something in the game. That would be, I love that stuff.
I like that stuff as well, because I hate using the word evidence, but when I get douchebags coming into my stream and saying, what have they been spending all their time on? I can go take a look at this video. They spend a lot of time working on the back end stuff that actually makes the game, Yeah. And I appreciate seeing that stuff as well.
And I understand that they don't have a lot of time to do a lot of this stuff anymore, which is fine, but then don't expect people to pay for the content that's not there. That's the problem. It's the chicken and the egg situation. In order for backers to not think that everything is shit and they have no idea what they're doing, because one of the things that always comes up around this time in the patch cycle is everyone thinks that CIG doesn't know what they're doing, and CIG is going to go out 90 days tops, all that kind of bullshit that gets thrown out. And then the next big patch comes out and they go, oh, but those people go quiet, or they suddenly switch their tune. And then, same thing. It goes up and down, 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 like a roller coaster. And the reality of anybody who's been watching this long term is they understand that when they're going down, their heads down in the desks, and when they go back up, then they have time to get up and breathe. And people like Jay Lee will show up and be like, "Oh my God, can't you imagine all this crazy shit we did?" And then they get heads back down to go work, because it's difficult to be anyone who works on anything. It can tell you it's difficult to be excited about something or talk about it without that taking work to do. If you have people who are following you, you need to just do the thing, and then release it, and then you can talk about it. And that's difficult to do.
This is why I love calling all devs. That's why I love it's so perfect. It's Jared in the back by this garage door with a desk and a computer and a shark suit. But he basically calls up someone. He I got to tell you, it's probably a little bit of smoke and mirrors. He's like, make sure that person's there. I think it's only happened once that he called someone and they weren't at their desk or whatever. So I'm sure, like, I'm going to ask you a question today. Please be sitting there. That takes almost that, in my opinion, I'm not a developer, but that probably takes almost no time. It's not like they beautify their hair or whatever. And you can tell the answers are what the guy's thinking, because oftentimes they have to quantify what they said after on Spectrum because someone misinterpreted, right? So that, to me, that's one of my favorite shows. Around the Verse is good, like old Around the Verse is good, but Calling All Devs is a good one. And the only kind of salty thing is when people go and they're expecting a particular question to be answered because it was very, very highly voted for, and then it doesn't get answered. But over the time, we now realize that Jared's just storing those questions for that person to be there, rather than just blowing the question. So, the argument that these shows take time away, yes, I can see that, especially if you're having an interview where a guy has to be there and mic'd up and everything. But we can achieve the same thing with a simple format like Calling All Devs.
Yeah,
but we're also supplementing those people. I mean, there's got to be thousands of subs. I know I give the 20 a month on mine.
Yep.
So, I mean, and that money should be going into production. Sitting on there recording a Skype call and that maybe takes an hour for the entire production, if that, isn't good value to me. You know what I mean? I like the half-hour ATVs, the in-depth discussions, and yeah, I know it takes those people away from their desk, but we're not really talking about keeping those people away from their work for days on end. You know what I mean? It's like an hour or two out of a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Randomized throughout the entire 500 employees.
Anybody who's played a game of Dungeons and Dragons will understand this. When I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons, I need to get 5 or 6 people together, right? But if those people are working at a significant time, or they have to do overtime here, so they can't come in, or because their daughter's got a quinceañera, or they've got to, get their kids to the pool, or to camp, or they got to take them to a specific class at that time, or they have to take a class, or XYZ. Insert other issues in life there. Then you can start seeing the issues. Jared and the media team may have a specific time. They may have all the time in the world to wait for people to get stuff done, but somebody may get sick. They may have other outside life issues. They may have something that happens and comes up, and they're just, boom, heads down on the desk, work hard, because they got to get this shit done before the patch comes out. And that
don't forget all the different time zones we're dealing with too.
Yeah, exactly. And so it gets completely complicated when you're dealing with the number of people. Someone who is I've done light filmmaking since I was 18, and I know how complicated it is to get specific actors at specific times and the crew and everyone together. It's hard to generate time, especially if you're not paying them for it. And in this case, these people aren't being paid to be on camera; they're being paid to work on the job. So it becomes an issue. Now there is definitely a happy medium. There's definitely a happy medium. There's something they could do in the middle between the two, which they haven't done. But I think
some
that
of them
has
stay
a lot
late. Some of them stay late to do it, and that's dedication, and that's the real. That to me, that's the test. So you can still achieve that, but now you're kind of expecting your employees to stay late, and not pay them extra or whatever. Again, it's. The reason that we're talking about it is that it's complicated. It's a lot more complicated than a simple fix. And that's the reality, is that if I want a large ATV, I have to be willing to occupy Jeremiah Lee's time for, let's say it writes off a morning, right? He's got to come in and all that prep work. He's not working for 6 hours that day. So we can't expect to do that all the time. So Toys, your idea of you should get more out of your $20. I agree with you, but at the same time, the preservation of everyone's time, Jared's calling all devs, even if that isn't good value for your $20, to me it's good. It's a good medium because we're not screwing around, wasting everyone's time. We're getting right to the information that we want from the right person. And I was going to say, I really liked calling all Pappies. That was 2 weeks in a row. You could tell that it was recorded at once. Pappy sat down. He asked him 15 questions. He split them up into 2 7s and made 2 weeks worth of show about that.
You can say whatever you want about Pappy, about other things. I trust Todd Pappy. Todd Pappy, in my experience, what he says is gospel, because I believe he's the head of the live team technically. Yeah. So he's in charge of everything that goes live.
He's like another Tony Z. He's
Tony Z's sub boss. He responds to Tony Z. But Todd Pappy, I don't know if he works in Austin or not, but I think I've met him a couple times, and Todd Pappy is not a bullshitter. He's not a Chris Roberts. He's not even an Aaron Roberts. He's if I'm talking about it, it's going in. And that's why I love that calling all Pappies. Yeah, people like that.
Get him, corner him like a badger, and throw 30 questions at him, and make 3 weeks worth of shows about it. Perfect. That's economy. That's good value for the money, and that money can be used somewhere else to make one gigantic ass-kicking, ATV or something.
All right, so Pappy works in Frankfurt. Okay, I didn't know he was a Frankfurt guy. That makes sense. But he again, when he says something, for instance, we knew that ship rentals were going to be in game in 3.3, or at least they're trying to put it in game. Because in a calling all devs a month ago, he asked, the question was asked, and he said, it's going in 3.3. And Jared was like, yeah, well, it may or may not make it. And Todd Pappy sat there and looked at the camera and said, no, it's going in 3.3.
That's when it's going.
Yeah. So, and I'm just like, okay, thank you, Todd Pappy. And there's more than that. He said lots of stuff like that where he's like, this is the reality of the situation. This is when it's going to be coming in. And sometimes it makes people angry, but he's right.
He confirmed space toilets for the Drake Cutlass. That's going in. You can bank on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yes. Sorry, that was just your like and dislike. Was it surprise? Was your surprise?
Surprise! A little shout out this week was nice.
Yeah,
it's meaningless. Like
congratulations,
it's whatever. But it's nice. It's nice. Like obviously, we all. The only thing that we could ever aspire to as content creators is to at least be doing something well enough that the game company itself wants to watch you, and that's nice. So that's exactly where I will end my mini 1 hour long like, dislike, and surprise.
Well, congratulations on that. No, honestly, I was surprised.
It was cool.
I was surprised recently when they chose me for an art like the whatever the weekly content thing, the MVP thing that they do.
Yeah.
And it's really weird when CIG sits there and goes, this person is a member of our community. Even if they don't say they like you, dislike you, even if they just say this person is a member of the community, you sit there and go, wait, do they watch me?
True.
Like, then you start double thinking about everything you've said at one point. And you're like, did I say something weird at any point? But yeah, recognition is nice.
Like being blamed for grenade spam.
Yeah. Oh, so
Redler was doing that too. Just spamming grenades everywhere. It's hilarious. It's a good stream. It's always fun to watch.
That's especially now that grenades work. Buy them grenades. They're only 50 credits, and you can throw them all the way around Olisar.
Like a backpack full of them.
What were they called? What's it
Korea.
called? Korea. You can just throw them in Korea. Then re-equip, throw them in Korea, re-equip, throw them in Korea. Just everywhere grenades. It's a freaking 4th of July.
Did anyone test to see if you could throw a grenade off a wall and down the stairs? Drones, you must have done that.
Yes, you can.
Because it works.
I've succeeded. I've done it in Star Marine. I haven't really tried it in the PU yet.
Lovely.
But it did work in Star Marine. Yes.
You know those games like Call of Duty where you just know the exact angle and the exact momentum, and you do like a little bunny hop and get that extra little bit, and then right off, like 0-0-0, right at the beginning of the game, you know that grenade is going to kill someone in the other spawn.
I remember that in Star Marine.
Nuketown. Nuketown was just hilarious. You knew like you were going to die right away as soon as the game went on, because some guy in the other team just hoofed a grenade. But the point is, being able to get that reliable physics that you know at this certain gravity, at this certain angle, that thing's going to go exactly where you want. I want to be at that point in the game where the game is allowing us to be that skillful.
It's pretty good right now because I sit below B and bounce it off the ceiling right at the person sitting on the console.
Station Damien. Yes, that's the we call it the douchebag grenade or the Diablos maneuver is what I used to call it, because Diablos told me about it. Where at the very start of the game, if you're starting as the I believe it's the criminals as the slavers, you can go down, get EVA through, shoot through the glass, get in, and toss the grenade up to that center console and blow someone up. So you have to assume that someone's going to be there. So you have to wait until the grenade goes up and goes off, then hack, and then have someone jump down and try to take care of that guy. It's very the tactics of Star Marine are very Call of Duty, Halo, like Rainbow Six-esque, and that.
Your
meta,
right?
You got to think about it, like where everyone's going to be going. Alrighty, so with that being said, let's get down into the questions. That's actually the fastest we've ever gone through the through the thing, actually, because we're actually at exactly 1 hour of broadcast. So
nice.
Let's get down to business.
I'm just gonna say it's because Darge isn't here.
Darge or Eris is not here, so we haven't gotten on the rant. Though to be fair, I think we've all gotten better at dealing with rants and such like that, just simply because it holds everybody's time up. So for those of you guys who don't know about the questions, here's how this works. If you have a question, you can hit !question, !question mark, or !questions in chat. All of those we'll get you a form, like a little link. You click the link. It's a form. You put your name and your question. There's a couple caveats about those questions. First off, a question is a question. You have to have a question mark, and it has to sound like a question. A statement with a question mark on it is not a question. That is a statement. Don't ask statements. We don't answer statements. Secondly, there are such things as stupid questions. And if you ask stupid questions, Moist is going to answer the stupid questions.
Nice.
Moist
In his-
CIG, everybody.
Moist CIG. In his most,
The legal department.
he's the we'll give him he has the British accent, so he sounds the most official. So that's how that works. There are such things as stupid questions that break TOS that are so stupid I can't even ask them.
I'll try.
And lastly, none of us are CIG employees. Most of us have been accused of being CIG shills, but we're not officially employees. So as a result, none of us will be able to give you official answers. That doesn't mean we won't completely give you ideas on any of those answers, or give you affirmative answers to those official questions, which you can then run to the forums and Reddit and tell everyone that you heard it in the captain's table. Make sure you tag every single CIG member you know on Spectrum or on Reddit, so that they understood that you heard from CIG Noobifier that about the complete change of the flight physics to that of Banjo-Kazooie. Or CIG Toy Grubbin, who is claiming that now all guns are being replaced with water pistols, or Dr. Drones, where the entire game is now Surgeon Simulator.
Water's valuable, people. You never know when you might need some water.
No. It's more like the carrot's not in the game because it wasn't on the last ship shape. Do you guys see that Reddit rant?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god!
So the whole Carrick is gone now. What's the happening with Carrick? Yeah. Also, I love the rant about how Squadron 42 is canceled. Someone ran around and be like, "Squadron 42 is canceled." It's like,
oh, on RTV the chat was light.
Yeah.
Like, it was just lit. Like
every
Squadron
other
42,
one was like Squadron 42 is
hilarious.
canceled. It's like, what is this? What is this weird FUD campaign going on about Squadron 42 being canceled? It's like
It was fashionable.
fashionable. It's just weird because it's like every other week I get a message from someone being like X, Y, or Z is leaving CIG and they're cashing out. Get out now. And it's like they're getting desperate. It's getting more and more desperate in terms of the more ridiculous in terms of claims.
If you have to worry, if you have to think about cashing out, you have too much money in ship.
You've gone too deep into Star Citizen. Let's see.
Never pull out.
You never pull. It's not an effective method. It's not an effective method. All right, so we've got a couple questions here. First question is from Dustio, who asks, "Hello, my question is for the Noobifier." So this is specifically for Noobifier. I ordered the new VCP Mongoose T50 Delta. What cams are you using? Cosmosine? And are you going to make a video on how to change the cams?
That's funny because that video went up 30 minutes before we started. !
Pod follow. Click his link, and there's the video just for you.
Sorry if that sounded like really condescending or something, but that video just went up.
Just put it up there.
Yeah.
So
good question. Yes, CosmoSim, the light cam, no extension is exactly what I am running lately. I haven't fully gotten through all of them. Like there's basically 12 combinations of cams that you could run in that, and then we have to start to think about extensions and stuff like that. But this one is a lot simpler than the MT50 because there's no set screw. It's pretty much set it and forget it. So CosmoSim, light cam, no extension. Answer the question, and please go watch the video.
Awesome. Yep. Check it out. ! Pod follow in chat to go see.
And thank you for your support.
Next question comes from Stainless Steel Rat, who asks, "Is there anything that would turn you off of Star Citizen?" Let's start with Noobifier and work our way down. Was there anything that would make you just go step away from Star Citizen?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, there's the big ones like murder and stuff like that. That's gonna suck. like developers start killing each other. I might have a problem with that. But no, it's like everyone's like, oh, Chris is taking all this money and he's gonna go buy a yacht with it. He already has a yacht. He doesn't, it doesn't. So no, I don't really think that. You know, I mean, obviously, if they close the doors, I would stop making videos about it. Like, if they stopped making the game, that'd probably piss me off a bit. But I don't think that's the plan. So I sound like a shill now. No, not really. I mean, they can do wrong, but I'm not gonna like cash out, right?
How about you, Moist? Is there anything that would make you step away from Star Citizen, either for significant periods or forever?
There's a whole load of things. I'm not going to start spieling through a list, but just as an example, I'm going to go ahead and point at Frontier development and laugh. Because I think if CIG did the same thing as Frontier and suddenly announced tomorrow that they were making a theme park themed game, or like an RTS that's in no way related to Star Citizen, I would rage. But no, to be fair, I wouldn't quit because I've got the money in. Like, just, throwing your dummy at the pram and quitting it, they have your money. So it's like, just make the most of a bad situation, I guess.
How about you, Dr. Jones?
Well, I think the question is pretty much what would make us leave Star Citizen, and obviously there's all these huge external things like legal issues or the murder situation. All that stuff I think is pretty self-evident. The spirit of the question might be more game stuff that could change. Sure, there's things that, if they went a completely different direction with everything they've ever said, sure, maybe I would consider moving on, but it would have to be something catastrophic and absolute opposite of what was offered. Not
something to the effect, something like
anything, but it would have to. I don't know. It'd have to be completely game shattering.
Something like the change
screwed up. No,
something like how Blizzard went. It would be I think what you're trying to get at is something like how Project Titan from Blizzard was originally supposed to be an MMO and it got turned into Overwatch. Like if something like Star Citizen got moved from being Star Citizen to just Arena Commander and Star Marine, I think that would turn pretty much 90%.
Yeah, I'd be out.
Off.
I'd be done.
Yeah.
That's not what I signed up for,
that
Scotty.
would have to be extreme.
Yeah. There has to be something extreme. Okay. Toy, how about you? Is there anything that would make you step away?
As for me, every penny I've put into Star Citizen, I've gotten out already. Playing the PU, the Star Marine Arena Commander. Yes, I put in more than I've put in most games, but like I said, I totally understand that my dollars that I put in were funding development, not getting something in return. And I've got something in return already. What would make me probably lose a lot of faith in them is if they come out and said, hey, we ran out of money and we're selling to a publisher. I'd probably say, see you later. Because I did the same thing when they sold Sony Online Entertainment, sold off everything to Daybreak Games. I was like, I knew they were going to kill EverQuest Next when they did that, and I was like, I'm done. So, and of course they did went and kill it. So, because I was looking forward to EverQuest Next.
EverQuest Next was probably a Star Citizen level of ambition that Sony was having with that. The idea of having for those of you who don't know, EverQuest Next was essentially EverQuest 3, and the concept was that there was complete terrain deformation, that if you cleared out a band of gnolls on a highway, those gnolls that survived may go off to another highway spot to set up, but that highway would be cleared. So the entire world would have been a living, breathing universe where one action would affect all of the other NPCs. And so the idea was that the AI would be smart enough to be able to move around and change position and have their own kind of almost like subsumption style goals and achievements that they wanted to do. So you wouldn't have a kind of a stock, everyone gets kill 20 Boars quests. The quests would change for the new players depending on where you were and all that kind of stuff. It was a very highly ambitious idea, and it was killed off pretty quickly when Daybreak bought EverQuest, essentially. So, just as a context for people who may not know what EverQuest Next was. For me, the only thing that would really turn me off of Star Citizen, because I'm locked in for the ride. I'm gonna see where this goes at the end of the day. But the only thing that would really kill me off of Star Citizen would be a fundamental shift in design philosophy away from what they're doing now. Something like turning Star Citizen into a survival game, or making it more Eve-like, or more, or something like Hellion. Like, I love Hellion, but I bought Hellion to be Hellion. I don't want Star Citizen to be Hellion. There'd have to be a significant change in terms of me enjoying my experience with my friends for me to be able to, like, leave the game. Otherwise, I'm pretty much locked in. There's no point, because changes have happened in the past. You know, CIG has changed ideas in the past, and it's been, at this point, I'm more interested to see where they go with it, rather than like, oh, I want it to be the best game ever. I've never thought of this game as the best game ever. And I think anyone who has sunk their money into this game as being the game, the end-all games, is going to be disappointed, because it's never going to live up to your expectations. I've always had the expectations of, I can have fun with friends, I can make money with friends, I can advance in the game or reputation with friends, and there is some level of emergent gameplay. Those are the 4 things that really are important to me, and all 4 seem to be very much being pushed forward as they're going forward. So it has to take something very drastic to change that. All right, next question, which is actually kind of interesting question, even though it's kind of a troll question. Chalk asks, will we be able to mine garbage on Hurston's trash biome?
My name
No.
is Wally.
I don't think so.
But, you know, it would be interesting to be able to go through some of those trash piles, even if you just was like an open up a like a folder and just see what's inside. And
Yeah, for
how that
intelligence
animation-
value.
Well, I
Well,
mean, you
no,
never
like
know.
if you could find old components, maybe you could find something good inside old components.
Yeah, that wouldn't
Exactly,
surprise me.
like because there are going to be components and then subcomponents inside those components. You could go
So-
trash diving and then find some decent stuff that someone's thrown away and then go sell it if you wanted to.
So not like Borderlands where you go up to a pile of animal feces and you poke it and a magazine pops out.
No. It would be something like you go up to a pile of animal feces, you poke it, and there's a bone that pops out, and be like, I can turn this into bone glue.
Oh my God,
you know?
legendary
Something like that.
weapon in a pile of poop in the middle of nowhere. This is awesome.
Or maybe you find like a cache, like like a lockbox that someone used. Like, hey, no one's going to go piling through garbage. I'm going to stick my.
Don't we
my-
technically already have that with the carry this poop from here to there mission?
mission.
Like,
yes,
kinda have that-
Carry,
kinda have that
carry
mission,
poop. Poop carrying. Next question comes from Stainless Steel Rat, who asks, are you excited about the proposed new flight model for ships having differing flight characteristics? We actually talked a little bit about this before the show, so I'm gonna kind of divert to Noobifier in terms of his thoughts on this, and then we'll continue from that.
All right, so it's no surprise I really like the idea of IFCS. I've made videos about it. I've talked with John about it and all that other stuff. Ultimately, whatever the end result is, whatever the flight model is, and again, there's going to be a lot of people maybe in SE4 that are pissed off about it, as long as it's skillful and it requires a certain amount of practice to become good with it, to be very good, I guess is what I'm saying, so you don't have to think about it anymore. I'm willing to put the time in to get that good. So the proposed flight mechanic differences where let's say the Xi'an Scout has articulating thrusters, that ship can do magical ballerina stuff, and Hornet with its single whatever gigantic engine and a bunch of little ones, you have to fly differently. I love that diversity, the idea that I would have to pick and choose a particular ship to achieve something, as long as it's balanced, obviously. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, I agree. I think every ship should have a unique feel, and I said this on my the last stream I did on Friday. I talked about how my hope is that every ship category has its own unique features. So like a heavy fighter is going to feel like a heavy fighter, but a Vanguard will feel different from a Hurricane in terms of like heavy fighters, so they'll handle differently as well as perform differently.
Right.
But we understand
the Vanguard's
that,
all engine, right? Like the whole back
Yeah.
end of the Vanguard is motor. So that thing should be fast. And unfortunately, when it first came out, it was very powerful, and I think it was too good for its own good, and it basically got nerfed. But that ship should rightfully be a very fast, powerful ship, And that's regardless of balance, that's fine. Don't balance it for Arena Commander, balance it for the PU.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I lament about is that CIG seems to not understand what a lot of people complain about with Arena Commander. It's not that Arena Commander should be focused on; it's that Arena Commander should reflect the PU realities. And I think that's what.
But Arena Commander's a total. I mean, I understand why they created Arena Commander and Star Marine because they wanted to test the mechanics in a controlled small environment. But they've kind of turned into their own little animals. I love the fast dogfighting module. So I think if they keep Arena Commander, let us have the fast dogfighting in there. But in the PU, we want our ships flying like freight trains. You know what I mean? Because big ships should.
They should always
train
reflect.
Like you fight though. You can't have two. You don't like it's not like hardcore mode and core mode in Battlefield. I'm sorry, I completely disagree with that, because then what's the point of going and playing Arena Commander if the whole purpose of Arena Commander is it's supposed to be a place where you learn how to fight in the PU, right?
There should be different modes.
I think different modes is not a bad idea, but I think Arena Commander at this point is one of those things, or when we get closer to beta with Star Citizen, Arena Commander should sit down and be like, you know what? Let's make it a free-to-play mode. It's set in Star Citizen's universe. We'll make it a little bit different. We'll still have modes. We'll still have different modes so that you'd be like, hey, this is what the Persistent Universe is like. So you have like kind of like War Thunder has, where it has arcade, realistic, and like sim mode. You could have something similar to that with Arena Commander and make it, again, I'm a big fan, make it a free-to-play game. They're already setting everything up in the universe for that Arena Commander is this free-to-play game in terms of like lore, but also they're adding in-game purchasing for Star Marine and in 3.3. They said that it's on the roadmap. They're going to be doing that, which is fantastic, which gives that, again, another step towards the idea of separating this off as another game title that you can make money off of that doesn't require a lot of investment, and just basically anything that you work on it can go back into the PU. I like those ideas. But one of the things is that going back to the main point, I think all of the ships should feel unique in their own way, within their own category. A Super Hornet shouldn't be a beat stick that everyone uses. It should be a beat stick to use for a very specific job. You don't hammer a nail with a screwdriver.
As well, one of the advantages of doing that as well is you will find that people will become very good at specific ships the more they fly them. For example,
Hell yes.
I really like the idea of, for example, having a wingman who is just fantastic in a Buccaneer because that's all he flies. And I love my Super Hornet. I don't care what you say, Paul.
No, I like the Super Hornet. But it's a seal clubbing device at this point.
Of investing all of my time because I want to get good with the Super Hornet, But one of the things that really frustrates me with the current flight model is moon flight. I hate the fact that I can just go to a moon and sit upside down.
Yeah,
a Cutlass Black.
That's going away.
It's just
that's the one thing that Chris was saying, like that. There will be a reason to have VTOL thrusters. There'll be a reason to have wings that have lift and all that. So I think the idea by pulling all the thrusters down, they're going to get rid of what you're talking about, which I agree with. You shouldn't just be able to sit there magically in space, in atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree with that. But we knew that was coming. That's, one of those things we knew were coming, or I knew was coming.
So, and people are saying new flight model. We're probably going to have a new. My personal belief is that I think we're going to have, with Chris referencing things like the Expanse, I think we're going to have a new flight model. Turn and burn makes sense in the sense of large ships, not small ships, but for anyone who's watched the Expanse, turn and burn basically means you burn the entire way towards an object, and once you get about halfway, you turn around and you burn so you slow down towards an object. Retro burns. And while it'll look kind of weird in a Connie, I think it'll look kind of cool as well, because then you also be able to tell. You'll be able to tell the difference between like if someone's actually coming to your location or not, because you'll look up at an atmosphere and you'll see a Connie reversed burning to slow down an atmosphere as it's coming.
It'll make you need to have turrets and gimbaled weapons for sure, right?
Yeah.
If the pilot has to put all of his weapons facing that way to slow down so he doesn't crash into something, then the snub pilot and all the other stuff is going to be needed. So again, it's very cool. Certain ships like the Vanguard have very, very large retro, right? Like right on the front end of the ship, but that may not be enough to offset the amount of oomph you just gave it because you hit afterburner, and now it's going to take you like 2 minutes to slow down. So it's actually, I think it's going to be hilarious. And those pilots, the high skill pilots that know enough exactly what angle to pitch their ship around to and how long to hit the main engines, I sound like a complete fanboy, but that to me is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And that's exactly what I wanted. I want that Newtonian craziness.
And the advantage of it as well is that it has that side effect of having easy to pick up, hard to master, because the smaller ships won't have that much of a difference. Like the thruster on an Aurora or even an Avenger is not that much difference. The main thruster is not much different from the maneuvering thrusters. It's slightly bigger, than the maneuvering thrusters. So those ships will end up being a little bit more, as even Chris said, a little bit less like the wide drifting and a little bit more tighter. But because they're so small and they don't have really as much firepower as you'd imagine a larger ship would, they won't make a huge difference towards the larger ships that need to flip and slow down. That idea is I think, a good idea going long term as well, in terms of making every ship seem similar, because that was one of the things that the Xi'an ships did very well, is that the Xi'an ships they don't have one big thruster. All of their maneuvering thrusters are their thrusters, so they can strafe a lot easier. They can move a lot quicker around a battlefield, whereas a ship from a human perspective would be more like a plane, especially in atmosphere.
Except the Cutlass, when it used to pitch its motors around. But anyways, like rip articulating flappy motors.
Bring those back.
Yeah. It's just back.
It looked ridiculous. You're flying along like.
I think those could come back. I think those could come back with this new flight model, but it just wouldn't. Oh, you're talking about the main engines flipping. I missed. Rip the Freelancer. Rip the Freelancer being able to throw its engines down and use that as a VTOL stance as well. That was ridiculous. So. With that long tirade in case, let's go to the next question. Notorious DYD asks, would you be in favor of being able to see whether a ship's weapons are powered up or down to determine hostile intent?
I like that idea, personally.
If there was a piece of equipment and a mechanic required to do it, yes. Mm-hmm. If it's just a passive thing of, oh, hey, I'm here, so I know what you're doing, no.
I think it should be like an extra scan you do.
Yeah,
the passive scan to see the ship, and then you do a detailed scan to see,
Uhura, hailing frequencies.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what they do on,
yeah, so like Star Trek could easily be they initially scan a ship and they'd be like, hey, they're powering their weapons up. I like the idea. I like the Elite Dangerous style. I know I'm going to get crucified for saying I like Elite Dangerous, because I do like Elite Dangerous.
How dare you?
But I like the Elite Dangerous style where your weapons aren't natively powered up. You have to power your engines, your weapons up to be able to engage in combat. Like, you have to bring them up and you have to power them on, because it would make sense in the sense of Star Citizen universe that most of your power is not going to be to weapons, because unless you're a fighter, you're not going to be experiencing weapon combat until you actually get into combat. You'd want most of your power to be to engines and maneuvering thrusters, because that's what you're doing 90% of the time in a combat situation until you get close enough to engage. And even then, an engagement's not going to last long enough that you're going to need a ton of power for your like jump drive. Like, you don't need to quantum out of there unless it's an absolute emergency. And at that point, you don't care about your engines. You're getting the hell out of there. So now he also says, a follow-up question. If yes, would you be in a favor of a delay during a power-ups of weapons where size 1 weapons take, for example, 10 to 15 seconds, and size 8 weapons take like 30 to 45 seconds? So basically, the higher the size goes, the longer the power-up sequence would be.
I'm not in favor of that. As long as you have the power enough available to fire it, then no.
Yeah, I agree.
No.
I think depends on
that's ridiculous. That means that the person on the receiving end has like 30 seconds to determine, oh well, shit, he's firing up his weapons, you know,
Yeah.
and then no,
No,
Well,
but
I would just leave my weapons on all the time.
right,
Right.
and that's what would end up happening, and that's why it's a dumb idea, in my opinion.
I think it'd probably be better to have what is it called? I guess penalties for having them on all the time. It's better to have, like, so if someone panics and tries to boot their weapons up, then their engines go out, or their power supply gets overloaded and just like shuts down because it's getting too much. You're requesting too much power to it. Something that's more of a pay attention to your surroundings. So, oh yeah, I want to ambush this guy. My weapons are down. Quickly change power settings so that my power to weapons rather than to shields or engines. Then the player would be able to see that spike in power change and then be like, oh shit, they're powering their weapons up. And then you have instant use of the power like to the weapons, but it would take the person who's behind the cockpit to actually pay attention to the change in the power cycling.
If you don't mind, I actually have something to say on that.
Go ahead.
So on our TV, Chris was talking about, everyone always thinks about the single fighter, the single person in the single fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like Chris was saying, micromanaging your power settings to get the most out of the ship. You know, the person's going to have to balance this and this. And everyone automatically thinks, oh, shit, now I'm screwing on with a numpad and pushing this. And, you know, I've got like USB foot pedals to do all these macros or whatever. I think about the Connie. You've got two chairs, one guy and another guy on the left and right. They're not just passenger seats. They're not just massaged seats. That guy's supposed to be managing your shields, and another guy's supposed to be managing your sensors. And then you got two dudes in turrets and, you know, some guy in the bed, whatever. But the moral of the story is that all of these game mechanics to get the most out of your ship, I think is, you have to remember that that's multi-crew, and that's part of the game. That's what you want. And yes, if you're in the Saber, you got to get proficient and figure out how to manage your shields and everything like that. But that's what you got content creators for. We're going to make it all very easy to understand for you and give you macros, and you won't have to worry about it.
CIG even has pre-programmed macros already ready for you that you can pre-program for power settings. It's already in the settings. So CIG's even thought about this already. And that's why you have things like product placement, voice attack, and HCS voice packs, where you can use those things to instantly change your power settings with a macro. So So, with that being said, next question comes from Kamikaze Damat, who says, if they change the IFCS to the point where ship nimbleness slows down dramatically, how do you think this will affect HOTAS and dual stick community? It'll give them exactly what they wanted, which is more realistic space sim, or more ground-based space sim, I should say. If you look at a modern NASA ships, even Roscosmos ships, things like the Soyuz or the Dragon spacecraft or the Starliner from Boeing, the main engines behind those vessels are very powerful. The maneuvering thrusters, not as powerful, but they're still powerful enough to move you around in orbit, which means that it would mean that you would be able to go in a straight line very fast, but in order to maneuver, you would have to cut off your main engine and rely on your maneuvering thrusters to get you where you're going, maybe flip and burn, those kind of things. It would require a lot more thought. Even with the stick and throttle users, it would just mean that you'd have to learn how to cut your engines, flip, turn your engines back on, and learn how to counter your own speed. And many users already do that. Stick and throttle users love, what's it called?
Newtonian.
Decoupled mode. Decoupled mode is probably the biggest thing that stick users love about Star Citizen, is the decoupled mode.
I do hate that now it seems you start slowing down and decoupled, by the way.
Yeah.
That's not a feature.
That's a bug.
Yeah, I hate that.
Well, the thing is,
the good news
not
is
just
no matter.
ships, and sorry to interrupt. Anything that you push in space slows down. Physics doesn't seem to work properly. Like if you Big Benny's machines, for example, if you push it, it will just driving cyclones off pads at Olisar, for example. Drive it off the pad, it'll float and then grind to a halt.
Mm-hmm. That's more. I think that's a bug dealing with issues with things like container streaming issues.
My immersion's ruined.
Let's see. This goes back to something I've always thought was a problem with the way that Star Citizen handles physics, which is the old theory of if I've got two ships moving at the same speed side by side, why can't I EVA between them?
Yeah, turn off the engines and you could just go back and forth.
But that's part of the intent. That was confirmed as being something that they couldn't work on yet. But once all that back end stuff is done, I think that's the intent.
Okay.
Like, that's my understanding. What I was going to say to answer the question, specifically, they were saying, well, why do I need double stick or why do I need HOTAS or anything like that? No matter what they do to the flight model, it's the same flight model for everyone. So no matter what it has implications for all controllers. It's not just going to hinder double stick or hinder HOTAS or whatever other HOJAM like mouse and joystick. It's homogeneous. The flight model will be equally sucky or good for everyone. So I don't think it's going to matter. If double stick is good right now, then double stick will still be good compared to because the whole flight model's changed.
Awesome. Yeah, the next question I'm going to skip because I actually requested no green screen because I thought it was fine. If Noob actually asked if you could pull the green screen up, and I said you don't need to. But if it's an issue, it looks fine back there. So that's me. That's my aesthetic question.
It's not cork. It's wood.
It's wood.
Is it wood?
Yeah, it's built specifically to capture sound.
Oh,
the way
nice.
that the each stick is slightly deeper than the other sticks is designed to make a natural sound.
Isn't there a video of you building that?
Oh, fuck. Yeah. It took me like weeks to build this shit.
Yeah.
Go watch the video.
So that's my request. Next question comes from Magnetron, who asks, would you like CIG to have a sub-model for the game and not ATV/shows? As non-content creator, I don't really care for shows. I just want to back the game and make it grow.
Do you know what I would think would be interesting? Because I've actually seen a few people pop up with this question. You know, Humble Bundle. You know how you can select like how much money goes to the publisher, how much money goes to whoever. It'd be interesting if we had the choice of our subscription money either going towards development or towards video content.
I think long term, ATVs will no longer be a weekly thing; they'll be a monthly thing once we get towards beta and release. And I would think that the subscription model wouldn't go away; it would transition to be an optional gameplay thing. Because I personally, and this is just me, I've said this before. I know it's not a popular idea, but people with subscription should get LTI on all the ships that they have.
Oh, you didn't just say that.
I did just say that.
Whoa.
That's like another...
as a means to suggest people to help subscribe and reduce the cost, but at the same time eliminates allows people to give them a purpose in game, but doesn't overwhelmingly give them a huge advantage compared to normal players. As well as I like the idea of these like cosmetic things, like you get a little suit, you get a little like piece of clothing, whatever. These little cool flares that you get, maybe
gold
like
cod piece.
Yeah, why not? You know, let's go crazy. Let's go gold top hat. You get a blinged out ship skin that you can use. It could be ridiculous, you know.
I don't know. I think the coloring, you know, when you're buying these special skins right now, you know, to get these concept ships, eventually you're going to be allowed to color your ships certain colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why this has to become such a big special thing when you're eventually going to be able to paint your own ship.
Well,
it's just the metagame right now. It's just something to do while we wait for other stuff, right?
They also haven't confirmed that you'll be able to paint your ship, that you may have to go out and buy a ship, like we have to buy with cars. If you want a green car, you got to go find a, you know, Outback with that's color painted green. You may not find that in every Subaru.
Let's just be honest. If they let you paint ships, it's, you know, it's like we talked about last night on Space Bros. Time to penises. I mean,
yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying
time to penis is a real thing.
Paint your ship.
TTP
what I'm
is
saying-
a real
TTP
industry
is a
term.
thing.
It's a normal industry term. TTP is an industry term, and it is a legitimate problem for most games because, especially if games are trying to be rated E for everyone, you do not want TTP
E for
to be
erection. So it's like the Hull E. You know, the Hull E's got those the banners on the side.
Yeah.
They better not let me paint on that. I promise you. Ooh.
No.
You know, like, fucking-
The
When I
idea-
say paint, we've seen the tools they use to color the ships. So from what I understand, what they're going to allow you to do is they're going to give you a modified version of that tool to allow you to paint it a certain color within a certain range. They're not going to let you paint every ship like bright pink.
Absolutely love that, but I don't think that's what they said.
They came back.
said-
They came back on an ATV and said no. That
Yeah.
you won't be able to modify it like that. They'll give you the ability to choose shades of something, like armor, for example. You can go to different places and buy a particularly colored armor to make up the suit of your dreams, as it were. But to physically sit there and do that, I don't think that that's a thing. Ships, though, I think ships will be available as a skin. And then there was talk of something like Test Squadron could make one theme for all of their ships so that they all look the same. But again, that was 2014. That hasn't really. The last time we heard about it was that demo that they showed the saber changing colors
able
and
to
everything.
change
Like,
colors
look,
instantly.
yeah, look at what we can do, right? I think that it came out on the when those 4 variants came out. That was the same time that came out. But we've heard nothing about that since. And that's one thing that's interesting about this game is that we can go back and look at when they said it, but that was two years ago. That's no longer 100%, right?
My hope is that they go something similar to, and again, this is going to get me crucified, but MechWarrior Online does a fantastic job of customization. And what they do, I don't like 100% of what they do, but what they do is that every skin you can get is less of a skin and more of a pattern. And then you can use individual color palettes to color each skin primary, secondary, and tertiary. And then you can sit there and mess around with it to make sure it's the right color, like red, blue, and green. You can change that all around to different, make that primary versus secondary versus tertiary. If you just want a green ship, you can just have all of them be green, and you wouldn't be able to see the difference. But if you want to have like that camo, like the Comet, I think the Saber Comet has that camo skin on it. Being able to do that, but change the camo to like pink and purple, you could do that if you wanted to. That idea is a little bit more in line with what you'd expect with an MMO customization. But even then, I don't think they're going to be moving towards that. I think
Starkit and Polaris confirmed by Paul.
Yes. No, 100%. I think they'll sell skins. I think that'll be one of the main ways that they get a lot of money is that people will not want to have their generic, boring ship, and once they get the ship that they want, they're going to go buy a ship that has its own color scheme. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they do something similar to EVE Online with Alliance logos, where you can submit your own sort of organization logo, and they charge you for that because all they have to do is have somebody sit there and say yes or no, and they charge for it.
Is it a penis? Yes or no?
Because I want the noodle sausage. There it is.
It's $20 extra for penises.
Yeah.
I honestly, having customized ship skins that people can submit, I think it would be a good idea long term because they could make lots of money.
Something they do with War Thunder actually, and not only that, they take models that people have made as well. And I know it's way more complicated in terms of models with Star Citizen, but I don't see why we couldn't have like user submitted skins, and then that person have a cut of what is made from it, or
just have CIG buy it out. Like standard rate. CIG's like, hey, we'll buy it $100. It's ours. You made it, great. Here's $100. It's ours now. We'll make the rest of the money on that. Any content creator who does that would like it. Would be like a nice, like, hey, cool. I got a little cool thing, and it's in the game, and I can use that in my portfolio, and I got some money for it. Especially new people starting out. So, but
for sure.
All right. Next question comes from Westbrook Drew, who asked, "What are you most looking forward to at CitizenCon?"
meeting
personally,
people.
all of these people are
people.
probably going to be there, and I'm probably
Yeah.
going to be absolutely smashed drunk with all of these people.
Yes.
Are you not going, Noobifier?
No, man, it's a Wednesday. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
come on.
Listen,
I'll be
I
there
make
with-
200. Check this out. I make $200 a month making YouTube videos. And it's probably going to cost me $1,800 to get there
Yeah.
on a work day.
Put up a donation bar like Mitt does.
We got-
How? Where?
He's not a
But on
streamer.
YouTube video.
On YouTube and just link it to your PayPal.
It's cheap anyways. No, I won't do that.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm probably on that day. My plan is to remember Redacted did that thing, Monster Tech Theater, whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, whatever it's called. If Board Gamer's not going, I would gladly do a 47-hour stream with him and just regurgitate whatever comes out of CIG.
Him and Mac.
That
and
was
such,
hilarious,
Yeah.
right? And it's funny, and this is gonna sound stupid. The worst place for me to be during that time when there's all that stuff to talk about
Yeah.
is at the convention where I
'Cause
can't talk about
You
it.
can't talk about it on the on
Yep.
YouTube.
So-
yeah.
So I would love to go and see all you guys again. Like I was at 2016, great time, hilarious. I would love to go again, but the juice is not worth the squeeze, man. That is too much of a pill to swallow.
My juice is worth the squeeze, Noobifier. Let me know.
Yikes.
Wow.
You pay for
I
it,
love-
brother. You pay for it. I'll be there.
There we go. We're starting a community Kickstarter to get Noobifier to
I will help
CitizenCon.
with that wholeheartedly.
Hashtag Noobifier to Austin, right?
To Austin,
Like,
yeah.
in Austin.
Noobifier juice? Is that what it was?
Noobifier juice. Well, I agree. Like, it's one of the reasons why I'm not going to TwitchCon this year is because I don't think it's worth the money to go.
It's a
And-
big deal.
And yeah,
It is
because
a
a
lot
lot of
of
people
money.
don't realize the cost of going to a convention. Like, I live in Austin, so I can go. It's not that problem. But if I was going to go to something like Manchester next year, it would cost me $1,800 would be like the flight alone, not let alone the cost of the
Insane.
hotel plus
If it was
buying
Montreal,
food there.
that's just down the street from me.
Yeah.
I'll be there, no problem. I'll go help plan the event, right?
Yeah.
Like that's no problem. And it's not
Can
like
you,
Texas is super far.
Can you imagine if we had a CitizenCon at Montreal? Do you remember that CitizenCon when all they talked about for a big chunk of the presentation was like the website stuff?
Yeah, I was there. It was 2016.
That's what it would
Yes.
be.
Yes.
No.
I was there too.
That would be not good.
This is the thing. I go there for CitizenCon. You know, I do want to hear the presentation, but I mainly go there to hang out with the bros.
Yeah,
That's what I
That's
go
why
there.
I'm going.
Absolutely.
It's a
That's
bro
why I'm
meeting.
going.
It's going there to hang out with your org mates, with the people you've met online, the people you play with, to watch the content creators or meet the content creators you enjoy or hang out with them. There's
I
no
will
other
be
reason to
doing
go.
autographs there, so
If you joke, there were people who did autographs, who asked for autographs in 2016. I autographed a couple of different autograph things when I was down there in 2016. I know Noobifier did too, and lots of people did. They
I
were
may have
just-
put
Nice.
stickers on people.
Yeah, I may have ended up on my helmet for the last freaking 3 months afterwards, and everyone kept asking. There was a sticker on my helmet at one point, and someone walked up to me and said, "Are you the Noobifier?" And I was
Oh,
like,
that. See, I could die tomorrow now. That's perfect. I've been successful.
But the one thing, the reason why I kind of took us on this tirade is because the purpose of a CitizenCon is not something that you should want to go to unless you want to meet people. If you're going there for content, stay home. Watch Twitch.
Yeah.
Trust me. I was at the 2016 CitizenCon. It was a fantastic experience, but it was the worst CitizenCon they've ever done. So just put you to that
I still had fun.
context.
Yeah, and
I
that's
had-
just
great. It
exactly
was
like
fun.
you say. Yep.
Because of the other people who were there, not because of the presentation that was given
Yep.
at CIG.
The whole
Not to say
community was
that-
poopy, but I
Yeah.
didn't care because I had fun, and that's like my 2016 is not the same as people that didn't go. So
Exactly.
you're bloody right. I didn't care. I was just in awe of the show.
But if the question is, what are we looking forward towards CitizenCon in terms of content? Me personally, anything to do with Squadron 42 and anything to do with Star Citizen long term. Nothing that'll happen in the next couple of months, but something give us an idea of what next year looks like. 2 years looks
cloth. We're gonna see cloth, dude. That's why I'm going.
like. Damn cloth physics.
That's the only reason.
What about the next generation of Optanes that we're all going to get? I mean,
Optane Z2s. Yeah.
I'm gonna shiv a motherfucker that he tosses it near me.
I ain't got time for that.
Oh man.
You just go buy them on eBay once people steal the ships from them.
Yep.
All right.
Wow.
So, but yeah, other than that, I think most of us have just kind of very, very basic ideas. None of us have. I think going to CitizenCon hoping to see something is going to end up not happening, and you're going to get angry. So it's better to be like, whatever comes, bro. You know.
This year going to CitizenCon was the first event, any sort of event I've been to. I'd never been to a Comic Con or anything like that. And there was only like 150 people, I think, at CitizenCon. But like, it was amazing. And all of the stories that we were talking about on podcasts afterwards, they weren't about the event per se. It was about hanging out with people. Like, for example, Super Mac Bros ended up crashing with us at our hotel. And at one point in the evening, at like 4 a.m, for some reason, there was some sort of event going on in our hotel where people were samba dancing in this room. So the Few and Super Mac Bros just barged in and started dancing together in the middle of this big group. And it's like those sorts of stories, like that is kind of
Priceless.
what really pushed me.
The test
to go
party that
to
got shut down.
CitizenCon.
The test party got shut down in 2016 because the neighbors called the cops on us because we were being so loud.
Well, what about? There's nothing better than the party we did in the penthouse where the Astropub
Texas
was
Skulls.
actually manning the bar.
I was actually barring. I got all of CIG drunk, and then the next day, I was lucky enough to get a tour at there. They at the tour there, like there was like 4 guys. There were like maybe 6 people at CIG LA who were working, and one of them was Jay Lee, and he walked up and he was just like, "Oh my God, yeah, we'll talk a little bit, but all of us have massive hangovers because of the party, and half of them didn't show up because of the party." So
Well done, sir.
yeah, so I'm like, "Oh,
Nice.
I'm sorry, I ruined y'all's tour. I got everyone wasted." So, like those crazy stories that go on at conventions is the reason why a lot of people go, and I agree. I think that's the reason to go. That's the reason to be there.
I sent you a picture, by the way, for later, Paul. Not a nude. I know that's what you guys are thinking. It was just a picture from 2016.
Yeah. It was,
You just disappointed Paul.
There we go.
He's like, damn it. Noobifier nudes is what we need.
Noobifier, me, Saurus, and then Noobifier with Meyer. It was awesome. I remember photobombing Fast Cart in that when he was getting his interview, just being back there with a couple people. So
Tons of fun. Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Next
and
question.
Have a good time.
Yeah, go if you're looking for a good time.
You'll have a good time if you hang out with us.
Next question comes from Notorious DYD, who asks, "What level of gameplay would the cast like to see for the top tier medical gameplay? Have you seen the old 80s Life and Death? Would performing surgery on an NPC be something you'd be interested in?"
Yes, totally. Would be
Dr. Burns,
love
straight
to
in
see
there.
detailed
He just
medical
wants
mechanics.
everyone's kidneys. That's all. He's going to be selling kidneys left, right, and centre.
Gorgeous.
I think
Yeah.
I honestly hope that they have some sort of clinic or hospital gameplay with the Apollo and stuff like that, where you'd like set it down next to like an outpost in the like some planet like Hurston, and you'd have NPCs coming in for medical care.
No,
Something
I
like
got
that
it.
would make sense.
Imagine if they just copied mining gameplay, like 100% with the laser and the collection and everything, and just moved it over so that you were shooting it at a person instead of a rock. Just carbon copy mining. There's your
They
medical.
explode instead of
Right.
if you're too bad, just blood
Class action
everywhere.
lawsuits, like pitchforks, CIG's burnt
Oh,
to the
God.
ground.
Oh man, but I think
No, do not do that.
I think all of us would like to have more hands-on gameplay with medical. Arma 3 has a great medical mod that they do, where like you look at someone who's down, and there's like a list of things that you can see, and then you have to make a decision like, oh, do I bandage this? What do I do? And like what steps? More hands-on would be better. Less push a button, have them healed. More like scan them.
I don't
and be
want
like,
push a button.
See,
have them
I'm
healed.
Dr. Drones. I know is going to be going full on Apollo. I'm just a Cutlass Red owner, so I'm just going to be sticking a bandage on there. Don't worry, son, you'll be fine. Get out there. Get back to the
No,
fight.
I'll be partially a combat medic, but I don't want it to be even in the field, I don't want it to be a stab them and magic happens and now they're healed, which I know they've said they're not going to. I want it to involve some kind of, I don't know, challenge, risk that you fail as a medic should be there. Like, it shouldn't just be I'm a medic, I have the thing, and now you're going to be healed. I don't want that. I want it to be, I'm a medic and I have to do something with a chance of failure. I love
the idea of
if I
just,
fail, what happens to you?
I love the idea of some poor guy just floating into my Cutlass Red, and I'm like, okay, just have a little lie down. I'm just going to inject you with this. Not quite sure what it does, but we'll hope for the best.
it's okay. You've got a British accent. It's the most calming thing. It's like he knows what he's doing.
Remember this. Remember this cast when you guys have to pick a medic. I'm just.
This is why I always get chosen last.
Tier 0, my fondest hope for Tier 0 is something like actually mining, where you would have a situation where you scan a body and you say, the scanner is like, hey, they've got lacerations and a broken bone. And you have a choice of applying, you have like 6 or 7 things in the order of which you apply them. So you know, like, hey, I don't want to like inject them with this osteo bone repair nanites first, because they'll just spray out the wound. I need to prevent this person from bleeding out, then apply the osteo bone medicine and nanites so that they can fix the bone, and in the right order. Something that's just more of about scanning what's the issue, figure out the order in which you fix the issues. Here are the medicines that are available, and move on. And sometimes you'll be like,
this, though.
oh, my arm is completely shattered and it's missing pieces. Well, I've got a level 3 bed. I can't do anything about this. Most I can do is prevent this guy from dying until we can get to a level 1. You know.
Imagine if that guy's on your watch list and you purposely administer incorrectly and then get a wanted level.
Yeah. I mean, well, that would be the issue, is that you wouldn't have to like
Dr. Doom. Anyone?
Yeah. But
Dr. Kevorkian, everybody that comes in.
Oh, that would be ridiculous. Also,
That would be awesome.
That would be more complicated too, because if you just threw someone who's perfectly healthy into a medical bed and we're just like, I'm going to start cutting things on you because I can. Now that you're trapped, it's kind of sadistic. But what would that be?
Enjoy the loading screen. Enjoy character generation because you've got no head anymore.
That's like Futurama. You put it in little jars on the back wall.
I do wonder.
You collect the heads in your hanger, like hanger flare. You get like
my
Spockhead and Nixon and.
I'm just
really
going to say, I had quite the corpse collection in Eve.
Me too.
What was that, Noodle?
Do you think though that we're going to be able to like find a homeless bum in an alley and then sell like his kidneys and stuff? Because like, I'm going to be so rich if that's the case.
I don't think that's possible, but I don't.
Well, it's possible.
I'm not discounting the idea that a very clever Apollo owner can start turning a profit on removed organs from kidnapped NPCs.
I don't know how I'd feel about that if they actually put that in the game.
I mean, it could. I mean, you could also do a situation where like someone's kidneys destroyed, and you have to go in and repair the kidneys, like long-term, more advanced medical gameplay. What do you do with that kidney? It's a destroyed kidney. It's probably medical waste, so you throw it away. So what would stop you from removing a healthy kidney from somebody and replacing it with an artificial one, and then taking that healthy kidney and selling it somewhere else?
There's an episode of Star Trek Enterprise where there's this particular species that grows into if you inject it with DNA of a human being, it grows into a clone of that human being. That could be a thing. There we are. If you need a kidney, you just clone it and then kill the clone and take the kidney. What do you need? I'm full of ideas.
What game have I backed? What
is this madness? Star Citizen moral choices.
Slave
All right,
citizen, clone citizen.
Let's go through a couple of fast ones because we're reaching the 2 minute marker, or 2 hour marker. So there's a couple. We'll rapid fire. Most of these are pretty quick, anyways. But the next question comes from Notorious DYD, who asks, "What tips would you give to someone spawning into the pew for the first time?"
Just the tip.
Hang on.
Twitch.tv Star Citizen directory. Go.
Yes, that. Also, when you wake up, go to the center of the console. That's where you spawn ships. Go walk around the shops and see if you like anything. If you see something pretty, buy it. Why?
No.
Why not?
Keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind. This is not for everyone.
No.
Right?
You need patience, a lot of
There's
patience.
no manual. There's really it's not.
My advice would be watch streamers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. Make some friends.
I
People who
would
know
say-
the game.
Before
Join an
pulling
org, get friends. Yeah.
Before pulling the trigger, watch YouTubers, watch streamers, get in, or talk to people in orgs, find friends who are interested in it. All of those things are important to do. And even if you don't watch here, I mean, freaking Clifford on Mixer streams Star Citizen. There are people who stream Star Citizen on Facebook and YouTube. YipTick does stuff on YouTube as well. There's plenty of people out there who do content creation for Star Citizen that you can find and talk to, or at least see what it's like. Go as much as often it's a problem. Go to Reddit, see what people are posting on Reddit, see if you like it. Go to the Spectrum, go to see what people are posting on Spectrum. Find those things. Find resources. Do research before you buy games, people. Not just with Star Citizen, but with any game. Research the game. Don't just buy it because it looks cool. Hype is bad. Hype is terrible for your wallet, and it's terrible for the industry. Don't buy on hype. All right, next question. What aspect of Star Citizen would you find most fun to stream on Twitch? Emergent gameplay.
Yeah.
Stuff that no one's thought of. Exactly.
Yeah.
That thing with the bridge of eclipses was genius. That was
Yeah.
so good.
That kind of
Apart from
stuff.
that one guy that screwed it up right at the end.
It was just crazy stuff, you know, like putting 50 people versus 50 people in a game and streaming it with the entire freaking Twitch community, like we've done with last couple of weeks. That kind of stuff is crazy. It's great. Why not? The stuff that you don't expect with the game, the stuff that the game's not built for, like orbiting. Like Diablos discovered how to orbit around every single moon by just turning off the ship, and it would constantly fall and never actually crash. So you'd actually physically orbit moons.
Oh wait,
Isn't that how
Trivial
orbits work
Punk
in
suit?
reality?
That's how orbits actually move. Is you're just not crashing.
You're always
you go-
falling, but you're moving fast enough that you exceed and miss the ground.
The ground. It's falling and learning how to fall and miss the ground. That's all that orbit is.
Falling with style.
Yes. Next question comes from Sam I Am Phoenix, who asks, What do you think the mechanic will work for food, drink, pee, and poop?
Oh god, here we go.
I hope it
Survival
doesn't-
simulator.
I hope
He
it's
said
not
it
a pain in
wasn't
the
going
ass.
to be. Yeah, even Chris said he was going to make it where you're not needing to eat and drink all the time. That is one of my biggest pet peeves about Conan Exiles. Even if you eat and get full, the second you stop, your hunger bar is already down a tick. I hate that.
I agree. I think my wildest ambitions is that hygiene is something you do before you go into port, and so that you're dealing with NPCs, they're not going to give you negative reputation, and that food and drink is something you could do for RP purposes. But so long as you have food or drink on board, that food or drink will diminish, just because you're nearby it. So your character won't ever have to go to a mess hall and eat and drink. But you always will have to have supplies so that you can eat and drink while you're on a long-term mission. That way that way people are forced to put some of their cargo into supplies for survival, so they don't just have unridiculously high numbers of things you can purchase in a cargo bay. That's another small thing. But nothing that's stuff your face simulator. Nobody likes that. Nobody fucking likes eating tons and tons of food and then being like your hunger bar just boop in
And
like
then your
30
poop
minutes.
bar goes up, and you're like, "Damn it!
Yeah.
I just
What if
now you
poop
need
yourself?
a shower bar because you pooped yourself." You know, it's just
If you-
not fun.
If you poop yourself in a suit, does it eventually just arise and then end up in your helmet? And then
No,
What about-
actually,
remember
they talked
Doom?
about this.
The
The
Dune?
still
Still
suit from
suits.
Dune.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
I don't
same
want that.
thing with all your suit. That's how they explain it. Is that your suits actually recycle poop into
Yeah, and then no one will want to talk to you,
yeah.
right? Because you know that guy's standing in poo.
I'll
Yeah.
talk to you.
No, you won't.
Face over IP and everything.
Nope. That's gonna
Next-
get muted.
Next question comes from Mudfucker, who asks, "What happens if Squadron 42 is a letdown / commercial failure? Will this cause problems with Star Citizen's release?"
Of course it would. Obviously.
The degree of
It would.
which the degree of which would be determined on how much of a failure, a commercial failure, Squadron 42 is. But the reality is go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the reality is. Go ahead.
I'm not saying a damn thing till you do.
Okay. The reality is that there's no other game like Squadron 42 out there. There's nothing in the horizon. There's nothing that even looks like it. The closest thing is
Yet.
Starfield, and Starfield is, as far as we know, would be more something akin to an RPG like Fallout than it would be like Wing Commander, and that's the difference between Squadron 42 and Starfield and other games. That Squadron 42 is Wing Commander the next generation.
And what I was going to say is I can't see how it'll be a letdown. We've seen just one little tiny walkthrough, and that walkthrough alone is better than 90% of the games I've already seen. Even with the bad AI, even with the little glitches here and there, it's still better than most games I've ever played.
I don't know. If after 30 minutes a pop-up appears saying please pay $9.99 to continue, then I'll be a little bit disappointed.
I would be a little disappointed. All right. Next question comes from Lennis, who asks, "What do you think the traveling times of 20 minutes within a system? This could let me drop the game because it's might destroy my fun. You're never going to go from one point to another. That's the idea of crossing a system in 20 minutes means that if you went from the outermost planet to the outermost planet on either side, it would take 20 minutes.
Yeah, but
You're
that
never
wasn't
going to
even
do that.
confirmed.
45 minutes.
It could take even more than that.
Yeah.
But I think people
At first it was 45 from
I
Magic.
think people are just expecting to sit there twiddling their thumbs the entire
yeah, it
time, which
won't be
isn't
that.
going to be the case. There's going to be stuff to do while you're traveling, so
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
And you need that downtime anyways to go do other things on board. It's that concurrent activity. It's that. As long as you don't get interdicted every 5 seconds by an asteroid, I think it won't be so bad.
No, and you're never going to go from one end to a system to another unless you want to. The most you're going to do is going from planet to planet or planet to jump point or from jump point to jump point. You're never going to have that situation where you're just constantly going from one place to another. And even then you wouldn't be able to because the ships wouldn't be able to handle going from the end of the system to an end of the system without having to refuel.
Let's see it first before we start throwing it out.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
see how it
absolutely.
works. And if people dislike it, then they'll change it. But the idea of this game's going to take time, so I don't want to play this game, then you probably shouldn't play the game because the entire game is designed to be
Yep.
to have like nothing, build up, action's over with, slow down, cool down, rebuild. So, a game loop would take maybe, let's just throw shit on the wall, an hour for a game loop, for one single mission for an hour. That's no confirmation, no backing of that. If of that hour, 20 minutes would be action. And the other, 30 something minutes between the two would be either getting to the action or winding down from the action to do something else. And that's the reality. Is you're not going to have high octane PUBG action 24/7 nonstop. It's not going to happen. That's not the way the game's built. And that's because CIG is working on the context that how online games function, how MMOs succeed, they're defined by the quiet moments, not by the action. They're defined by the stuff that you do between the actions. Like we're talking about, like why we go to a convention, because of the crazy shit that goes on that you don't think about. Same idea, but it's not based off of like the crazy action, but like the fact that you're sitting in a bar and some dude totally naked with like somehow managed to get a chicken on his head, walking around, running around going for no reason and running away. Like, whoa, that's like a story you'd tell someone about the crazy community in Star Citizen. That's the kind of crazy shit. So, anyways, moving on. Star Citizen Loser asks, what are your thoughts on the rumor of Squadron 42 is either canceled. No. It's a rumor. It's FUD. And until there's absolute confirmation, and they wouldn't have canceled it anyways because it's how they make money.
Yeah, and your name makes me not want to answer the question anyways.
Yeah. The other questions about like why are they taking so long with the solo campaign? You can go on that rant, but it's essentially just Moons made things longer, and so it's more difficult. At this rate, they'd be done after the universe. Blah 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 blah. I understand game development is timely, but 4 years since they filmed Gary Oldman, he's filmed 10 movies since then and even won an Oscar. Yes, but you also have to understand that this is not Call of Duty. You're not going to have a Call of Duty game. You're not going to have Squadron 42 out in 3 years.
And not just that, and I mentioned it in chat earlier, Anthem, which is still not released, has been in development 7 years. And its size and scope is nowhere even close to scratching Star Citizen.
Or Squadron 42 even.
What's
7 years.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Call of Duty games, those engine took 10 years. Yeah, Call of Duty 2, 3, 4, and all the follow-ons are using the same engine. They just go in there and they change some content, add a couple of features and some new,
update stuff. Yeah.
And call it a new engine and release a new game. So it's not like, even though they come out with Call of Duty every couple of years, they're not building an engine from scratch. They're just rehashing old stuff.
And the real reason why these things take a long time is because the whole concept of having landable moons and planets completely changed how they function with the game. Before this, if you've ever played a Wing Commander game, it's go on a mission, patrol around this region, get interdicted by things or run into things, deal with the problem, come back. Rinse, repeat. That was the original concept of Squadron 42. Now, with the idea of having landable planets and moons, they introduce things like what we saw with the side mission. Being able to land, go out, do some puzzle-solving stuff, introduce puzzle-solving to the gameplay loops rather than just basic combat, add stealth mechanics, first-person shooters. Those take time to develop and make fun. And having a game and having a fun game are completely two different things. And at any point in any kind of development, you have to any development team has to sit down and say, is this fun? Is it worth it?
And as they're going, they come up with new tech. The new shaders, the render to texture, the new volumetric fog, all that stuff. That takes time to they've done ships 2-3 times. If they got to do 2-3 ships times more to make them better, cheaper on the clients and the servers they use, that's fine. But that's also going to take up extra time. But I don't have a problem with that.
Next question comes from Mayonnaise015, who asks, would you recommend CitizenCon to a first-time, never been to convention solo traveler? Mayonnaise, if you have friends in the Star Citizen community, sure. There's nothing wrong with CitizenCon. It's actually not nearly as bad as a regular convention. Going to a convention like PAX South or even TwitchCon or, San Diego Comic-Con, it's like there you have multiple vendors. It's complicated. It's very people don't bathe properly, and they're in tight confines. People are bumping into each other all the time, and it's very claustrophobic, and no one really pays attention to each other's. With CitizenCon, it's a one and done day thing, mostly in a theater, so you wouldn't have to worry about it too much. So if you like Star Citizen, yeah. Next question comes from Dat Not Me, who asks, I reckon they should bring in ship plus gun skins like CSGO or other games.
Later.
They are going to, just not now, when they have time to. That's probably the attachment system that they're dealing with. Mayonnaise015 asks, do you think there will be a 0G fires and 0G water physics in ships? Light degrees. I don't think we're going to have 1-to-1.
I don't think it's going to be perfect, but something.
What streamer / YouTuber would you like to see be the guest host for CitCon? None. I'd like them to just do what they've been.
Yep. Last year was good. That format, the 11-hour buffet, was good. I liked it.
Yeah. And that's me saying that, who lives in Austin, who would be in a perfect position to do that. No, don't choose me. Just do yourself. Don't worry about your streamers and YouTube content. Let that be content for the community, because most of the community doesn't give a crap about us. They just want to watch the game. They want to see what the game looks like. So, Gillis Atter asks, anybody have a good fried chicken recipe? Cam does. I'd have to give it to you later, though. I don't have it on hand.
Yes, chicken fried. There we go.
There we go.
Yep. Right. Done.
Procedurally Explosive Diarrhea asks, the CR interview on Friday taught us that the fourth quarter is intended now to be a smaller patch. Do you think ArcCorp / procedural tech will be moved to 2019? Depends on planets, how hard it is for them to make planets. If they find it pretty easy to make Hurston and put it in the timely manner, then no, ArcCorp is pretty much mostly done in terms of a lot of the tech that they've been working behind. But I would also be a lightweight comparatively, because Hurston is not the big problem. OCS is the problem right now. That's what's all hands on deck is OCS. Hurston is a secondary. If they can get OCS working, then Hurston is the priority. If that makes sense.
I agree.
A rotten potato sandwich, asks, will Star Citizen feature viruses that can be spread throughout the verse to add to medical gameplay? Not at first. Like,
Don't know.
100%.
They have mentioned this in the past, though, haven't they? Like, they don't like the idea of there being, because it was so long ago. I think it was mentioned, but it has been talked about. But there was that
Yeah, they did
in,
mention something, but it's been like a year and a half.
I'm
yeah,
sure
it's been quite a
they'll
while.
have viruses in terms of story arc viruses. I don't think viruses in the sense that players can acquire those viruses. I think the most
God,
you'll
if
see
they-
with
I'd be so
think-
screwed. I'd have all the STDs.
So let's talk this through, right? So yes, having you go to a certain place and now you have a virus and now you have to go find someone to fix you and all this other stuff. That could be a mission, but that's not necessarily the mission you want to do. So if you're playing Skyrim, have you ever been walking along and then you're now poisoned and you have to go to this person and avoid what you were doing? And if so, is that something that you enjoyed, or was that a pain in the ass?
Pain in the
Yeah.
ass, but it's a pain in the ass every time I contract gonorrhea in real life. So it's like, what more?
speaking from experience.
Speaking from experience.
But no, the reality is that I don't think viruses would be very fun unless there were ways to counter them, and I don't think it would be a good idea early on. I think it would be one of those things that they would look into later, and you could see something interesting, like say you go to a place that has an outbreak, you may catch that virus, but you're also going to make a lot of money because you can just deliver medical goods that they'll pay a lot of money for. So you're taking that
I was
risk
just going to
versus
say, there
sword.
should be warnings. Like, if you go in this area, you may get
Will
this.
you buy the multiple STD DLC?
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
real question.
And the thing is that how would they work? They would have to cripple you in some way that would make the gameplay, again, risk versus reward. So in terms of gameplay, that would require them a lot of extensive research, and I don't think that's something that's so beyond even like games like DayZ that have those kind of ideas, where they have contractable viruses in the game. Even then, it's like you drink bad water, you get this virus. Not that you could spread it, but then now you have to go get antibiotics to be able to cure yourself. That is designed around the idea that you are forced to go to point A to point B. If there's just and you're taking that risk, you're drinking the dirty water because you have no other option. It has to be something like that.
Fallout. Drink out of the toilet.
My dog does that all the time.
Yep.
Last question of the night. Dat Not Me asks, end of the year expectations. Let's go around the horn real quickly because this is the last question. So, end of this year expectations. Dat Not Me. What do you for Noobifier?
Okay.
Noobifier.
So
what do you expect?
I'm going to do two things, and you guys can carry on with this idea if you like. So expectations for CitizenCon, I'm expecting to see one jump point. I'm expecting to see us leave Stanton. Whether we're going to get that or not, obviously, we're definitely not getting that because it's taken us a year to get ArcCorp. We saw ArcCorp last year. If we can get ArcCorp functional before Christmas, that would be lovely. I would be so happy, and that's my expectation.
Moist Noodle?
I was going to say exactly the same thing. I'm really hoping that we see a jump point at CitizenCon, and again, really hope. Like, I don't expect us to get our hands on it this year, obviously, but really hoping to at least get my hands on ArcCorp. Fingers crossed, because it looks so cool.
Drones.
I don't know about jump points, but definitely, I know we're probably going to see truck stops relatively soon. That's going to have to be a thing to get out to Hurston. I don't know. That's a tough one. End of year stuff. I don't think we'll see that. I'd like to see some more mechanics, really, to be honest with you. I'd like to see some of the stuff, like for medical, is, coming in tier 0. I'd like to see, I'm more into give me things to do, not places to go. Give me things to do, not ships. Give me the new mechanics. That's what I want. Even if it's tier 0, we're just testing this to see if it works. All that stuff I'm fine with. I don't care if it's broken as hell. But I hope that by the end of the year, we're seeing other game mechanics come online and not just mining and cargo and shooting. That's really what we have right now.
Yep. Lastly, toy.
I don't really expect to see anything groundbreaking. I mean, I do kind of hope. They have been showing us like the trees that sway in the wind and stuff like that. And I know the Endeavor has those little grow pods on there. So if we can start seeing, like Dr. Drone said, some of the mechanics for other professions, not just medical, but the growing stuff would be cool. But I totally expect to see the Kraken there. That's my ship for CitizenCon, because I expected day 2 to drop at CitizenCon, and they switched it on me. So now it's got to be the Kraken. So that's what I expect to see.
My personal expectations are 3.3. Anything beyond 3.3 is a bonus. I don't expect anything in 3.4 to make it. And that way, it's a reasonable expectation in my sense, because if it comes out, hey, it comes out. But anything that's currently on 3.4, expect in 3.5. So basically expect 3.3 to be the patch of the year that has the most content, and 3.4 to be fixing all the problems in 3.3, with maybe some new ships. I think I'd be looking forward to the new freelancers and the Endeavors and stuff like that. But beyond that, don't be super hoping for bigger content, because if you're setting yourself up for disappointment. But I think most people here are just like, we hope to see ArcCorp. We may not see it. We hope to see jump points in CitizenCon. Probably we may not see it, but who knows? We only know when we get there.
Improvements to the player procedural city thing was scheduled for the end of the year already. Yeah. So I'm not really expecting to see much of that.
I think ArcCorp and that whole concept is a lot easier on the team than you realize, because that's one team of the 500 people. The rest of those 500 people can focus on ships that they need to produce and optimizations and gameplay, making gameplay more fun, like working on the economy, working on mining, as we've seen with the focus on things like orbital mining, like asteroid mining in 3.3 that they're adding in. All that kind of stuff's pretty cool. So we'll see. Anywho, that's the end of the cast. Thank you guys so much for coming in and hanging out with us here tonight. If you did enjoy that, make sure you follow all these people. We do this live. For those of you guys who are on YouTube, we do this live every Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. GMT. So come on down, twitch.tv/theastropub. Make sure you watch all of these folks individually, YouTube, Twitch, all that kind of stuff. And like I say every time, hope to see you guys again soon. But if you don't, hope to see you someday in the black. Have a good night, guys.